Wrestling Brain. Welcome back to Wrestling Brain. I'm Arturo Scenes and Josh Custodio, and we are here for an AEW Dynasty post show. Now, if I seemed dour upon immediate greeting, that's because I hated the finish to the main event tonight. So it is me, Arturo Scenes and Josh Custodio. That's the Gray Bull, baby, and making his pay-per-view post-show debut, looking outright strapping in a blue Reebok tracksuit. Is that a towel I see tucked in there, Ryan?
That one's just for you, baby.
Thank you, brother. You know I love a man in a towel. He is host of the former Pucks on Net podcast and the producer of the Wednesday Night A Show, Ryan Schapp. Ryan, we'll get into it blow by blow. We'll get the crowd scores on the pay-per-view. We'll do all that. Give me an overhead view. Are you as down as this show as I am tonight, or are you feeling better?
Man,
we can't be. We can't be. We cannot. We can't be.
Flube saying it better than you or me possibly could there.
Yeah, we can't be. I don't know what they're building to in that main. But I was ready for a bit of a change, and that finish just kind of muddled it up, and it didn't leave me all that excited. I'm just gonna say so.
You don't want the EVPs deciding the world tag scene, or the world title scene rather?
It's crazy. I don't.
Yeah, wow, that's so wild of you. We're here late night, folks. We appreciate you joining us. Subs are welcome. Sound alerts are welcome.
It wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good.
Dutch Mantel knew. I knew. Did Ryan Schapp know? We'll find out. We'll get your scores. Go through the pay-per-view. I want to talk a lot about the main event. Then we'll go medium on a couple more. Tony and Bane probably quite a while. And then there are some matches that Ryan and I are going to buzzsaw through tonight. Spoiler alert, what I have to say about Bandito and Jericho outside of the atrocious finish could fit into a thimble. So we'll race through a couple. Get you all nice and tidy into bed. Agree with Flube. Schapp's looking immaculate. Just agree. Hype Trade is incoming. More subs. Come on. We need to retire off this. All right.
But you got to put some effort into it.
Eric Bischoff knows. Eric Bischoff knows.
All right. Eric Bischoff. All the thing Eric Bischoff knows is spending Ted Turner's money and spending it down at the Gold Club in Atlanta with his wife and DDP. But I'm not going to go there.
He's the least worked up guy ever, Eric Bischoff. Nothing gets to that guy except for everything. It's incredible. I'll get in here. Thank the subs that have come in. Of course, Flube with the very well-timed one. Thank you, Ashton Kutcher. Thank you to our social media producer, Cadenza, subscribing with Prime, saying water, weed, dune, hair. People bastardize WWDH all the time.
Come on.
Not my friend Autumn. They knew exactly that it's water, weed, dune, hair. Who booked this crap to subscribe? Yeah, thank you. Thank you to Corvax 1266 saying Dynasty.
Come on.
Mamma Mia. And people are marking on the great graphics. As always, that's the phenomenal work of Bobby Burritos. He's the talent.
We can't be.
Thank you, CSUPA55, also subscribing, doling out a we can't be. Okay, Ryan, what I'd like to do here is get you on the ready for the 1 to 7 song.
Oh, always ready for that one.
Play that, and then we'll go right to you. We're gonna get your 1 to 7 score on the pay-per-view. We'll get the Brainiac scores, all this. We'll go to the Brainiacs and then you, I should say, and then I'll go last. It's gonna be a great time. Chad, of course, you know the drill. On a scale of 1 to 7, with 1 being the worst and 7 being the best, what do you rate tonight's edition of AEW Dynasty? You did spend money on it and you did spend time. Ryan, if you would please hit that beautiful music. 1 to 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Come on.
The scores come in. I'll read them out, Ryan. You try to keep track of an average. Look at the Brainiac scores. And then yours. Here we go. Low effort defenseman kicks us off with a 3.5. Cadenza then with a 3. The Matty Mac with a 3.75. Ashley Kutcher with a 4. Aaron Dude with a 4. Irish Mac 21 with a 5. Keek 17 with a 4. C-Sub 55 with a 4.5. Corvex 1266 with 3.75. Niblets 05 with a 4. Al B19. Of course, people know that's Al Borland when he was 19 years of age. Thank you for joining us, Al. With a 3. Ninja Star 506 with a 4. Double X 307 with a 3.5. JC for Life with a 5.75. T-Dells 2020 with a 4.75. Matty B2123 with a 4.25. Gandalf Lundgren with a 3.75. Hi, it's me, RL, with a 4.6. I'm going to say spiritual average in the high 4s there, Ryan. 4.6, 4.7 maybe?
I'd say that. I'm going to get the official number eminently.
Well, you can do some calculations there. I'm going to say this is roughly what I was expecting. I can't think of the last AEW pay-per-view where we had scores in the 3s coming in on these post shows. I've been in these AEW pay-per-view post shows since AEW has existed. I know we've been in the 4s before, but I don't think we've ever had such a smattering of 3s. Pacefall coming in with a 3.2, Sever 1 with a 4.5. Corvex 1266 contextualizing his score by saying the Bucks were a -2 full points for me. A point each for Matt and Nick Jackson. I don't mind that. I got no problem with that. Or maybe half a point for each Air Jordan they were wearing.
Oh, I like that. That's fair.
I'm not sure of the system. How's the average looking there, Ryan?
I'm going to tell you in 74.3 divided by 18. Whoa, that's an average of a 4.12.
Wow, lower than I thought, Ryan. But let's just call it a 4 out of 7 there for discussions purposes. How does that reflect your thoughts on the night?
Man, there was some things about the show I quite liked.
Come on.
And I just think
thank you, Anna.
It was kind of building to like, all right, this show's been half, it's been, it started out hot. It kind of petered out in the middle. And then there was some, I don't know, less than desirable nostalgia matches. But I think we were all kind of entering the main expecting, a hootenanny, just a barn burner. And like, even you posted on Blue Sky, like, I hope these sickos get wild or whatever. And we were all expecting that. And it was slow. And it stayed slow. They followed Tracy Smothers' advice. They started slow and they tapered down from there.
Get off from there.
But I'd give it like a.
That's because they're giving us on to Billy Corgan. They're giving us alternatives, Ryan. If we're pissed off at AEW, we watch Impact. We can watch the NWA. Thank you, Autumn. Thank you, Floob. There's hope for us as wrestling fans. What about a score, Ryan? 1 to 7 from you.
Oh, I'd give it like a 4. The stuff I liked, I quite enjoyed, but it wasn't there weren't that high of stakes in it. Like a lot of the things I liked on the show were, I don't know, character development or storyline advancement, anything Tony Storm did, but there was a lot of just kind of plotting and a lot of placeholder vibes, a lot of pay-per-view, WWE pay-per-view between Mania and SummerSlam vibes.
agree with everything you said there, and too many New York vibes on the show, even at only 2 or 3. There was more than I'd prefer. And I'm not one of these guys who sees any run in and is like, oh, it's the end of the world. Like, I like ECW, GCW. I like federations that have run-ins. But if it's every match a person has, look no further than Evil or Roman Reigns in over there in New York. It's like, I don't know who thinks that this is a functional idea for like a long-term title scene. It's kind of crazy to me that I can list 3 world champions of the last 5 years that have had this as their gimmick, because I think it does end up hurting the matches and maybe the investment. I have a 4 written on the page, but I could honestly see that going down. Like the good stuff on this pay-per-view was excellent. I thought Megan Bayne and Toni Storm put on something classic and dangerous. I thought that Kevin Knight really showed out and got over in his own way. There were things to like all over this pay-per-view, but I was so soured by 2 finishes on this pay-per-view, just like eating a lemon levels of sour. I will be, you know what the last thing will be before I go to bed tonight, Ryan? There'll be 2 questions on my mind. 2 questions. The first question will be, what the fuck was the point of having Chris Jericho win and then restart based off of a replay? Because he still loses.
Does he need to look strong? Does he? He's Chris,
but he
Jericho.
doesn't look strong. He gets pinned a minute later.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I was taking notes and kind of looked away for a minute, and I'm like, "What is? Oh, they're doing a Dusty finish. What are they building to? Like, just give him the strap, put him over."
I don't like it already.
I don't like it already.
Well said, Pace. Well said, Dutch. And there are new sound alerts in there, by the way. I want to check out down there. But for me, the second thing I'll think before I go to bed tonight is, who is selecting the match order of these pay-per-views in AEW? Who's doing it? Because you need someone else doing that job. Tony Khan, I implore you, pay me. It's not going to cost you a ton. You shoot me a text on show to, hey, J0, Gray Bull. What's up, dude? Here's the matches. What order should they go in? Because I thought tonight was actively harmed by its match order. It was basically ununderstandable to me how you could watch the recent television and not have Toni Storm or Mercedes Moné near the top of this card. I don't understand it.
That baffled me, and maybe I kind of, I thought the show started out well. I thought,
me too.
And I'm like, okay, this, Ospreay and Knight have a match that's very good, competitive. It's not a spot fest. It sets the tone. Hurt Syndicator's super over. Monet and Julia Hart have a very solid, very good match, and it's kind of left both of them looking really well. And then the Ed Choplin North Carolina revival comes out, and I get that match was not much to write home about. I liked the post match.
Oh, the angle after was good for sure.
I thought it was done really well. I love FDR as heels, and then Toni Storm and Megan Bayne come out, and that match was so good, and the build up was so good, and the pre-fight stuff, I loved it. But then you just had a couple of matches that didn't. You had 3 straight matches that probably shouldn't have been that high on the card. And then Omega and the triple threat, and it's a show that had a big peak and big valleys, and it was very strange.
Said. Let's get to it blow by blow. Blow for blow? Blow for by and blow. Starting with the main event, Jon Moxley putting his, I almost said WBCW world title, and I should say a massive night of meltdown tomorrow.
That's what people are
7
saying.
7 in the West, 10 in the East. Fyodor Chanchin putting the WBCW World Heavyweight Championship on the line against the undefeated Sam Bancroft. Come on back. See how Slack and I book a Fed and Bobby Burritos. That's tomorrow. Check us out. We're on a hot streak right now. Swerve Strickland challenging for Jon Moxley's AEW World Heavyweight title. Simple question for you right off the gate, Shap.
Yep.
I felt like tonight the briefcase thing kind of worked for me. I'm like, I want to see the title again. Do you feel this way? Are you ready to see the title?
Brother, on my notes, I said that there was several times in the main where I'm like, I wonder what the belt's looking like. I want to see it, like the one, especially when the graphic came up for the main. And I'm like,
they're teasing you with that.
That's what it looks like. And there was a few moments where I'm like, we're gonna see, Swerve's gonna win the belt tonight. He's gonna take it out. It's gonna be like destroyed, and that's gonna further their program. And I'm like, I'm a smart guy. I know where this is going, and I like it.
Yeah, I felt like for some reason tonight that registered with me too, so I'm happy to hear that you also had it on your notes. John Moxley's accompanied by Marina Shafir, who has the aforementioned briefcase. His back still punctured from the landing on Ed Chopin's spike. I thought that was good of commentary to call out, and you can see those puncture wounds. So very cool to still see him wrestling out here. Should have thrown some vinegar on him though.
Hairy ass back, hairy dad back. It was the grossest thing. It was not the scarring or the wounds. It was like, oh, you can't shave your back because it's still healing, or you can't nair that thing.
Heel Mox can't shave his back, right? There's no way. He can't be a guy. There's no way. And so then, okay, so let's talk about the match, because you said it was slow, and I agree. But for some reason, I found it a really nice antidote to the match right before it. So if I'm not shitting on the match before, I'm just saying moves didn't matter as much in that match. Every competitor was able to take lots of stuff and get up really quickly and keep going in the name of, momentum or whatever you want to call it. I'm not shitting on like a work rate match. But I did feel like this was a lot more gravity, and I actually thought played really well for me for the first while compared to what had been right before. And I felt like they were really like pay-per-view style laying it in. There's a Mox violence in the middle of it that unlocks like a bit of a second gear that they do. But I really like the continuous story here of, and it matches the feud. The viewers of the show know there's nothing I like more than when the match matches the feud. And the whole time Mox was like, you're not the most dangerous man in AEW, not on my level in that way. And in this match, Swerve is trying to communicate over and over, yes, I am. He bites Mox. He hits Mox's finisher on him, the Death Rider, on stairs. He does the John Moxley back rake with the nails. And I thought that that's just guys paying attention and bringing that into the match, I think helped rope me in. And I have a lot of time for both of these guys to begin with, and thought that Swerve, while I did pick Mox, I think I won 100% on picks tonight. I got to go check on the preview show. I think I got a second brain sticker after tonight. I was pretty sure Mox was going to win, but I thought they did a good job of planting the seeds for Swerve Strickland to take it down. So for all those reasons, I was pretty into it.
Yeah.
The jumping power bomb by Swerve I thought was really cool. The rolling flatliner when he's really getting into the move set.
I'm talking to you, kid. Yeah, I called you kid because you were growing pubes while I started doing this. You're all pubes.
You're all pubes.
The whole lot of them, just pubes.
You're all pubes. Everyone's a pube. Middle of this match, John Moxley goes for a cutter on Swerve Strickland, who gets out of the way, and he accidentally connects it on Marina Shafir. So you're seeing some discontent starting to be sown in the Death Riders. Probably tells you this is getting wound up reasonably soon. Marina hits Nana with the briefcase, which gets an enormous reaction from the crowd. We'll talk about the rest of the match from here, from the ladder forward. But I actually thought that they were doing a pretty good job here of ramping up the damage and making it seem a little hardcore than the rest on the show. Were you into this match, or do you think this match suffered from just being late and long and then attempting something sort of slower?
It's really hard to say because I kind of wasn't watching it as a fan for enjoyment. I was fantasy booking, like, oh, they'll do this and they'll do this. So I don't know. It didn't captivate me as as a Kenny Omega match would, or a whatever. I thought it was slow. I thought at one point I'm like, man, it's 5 after midnight in Philly. Like, they can only be so amped up, and like they've been there for.
The crowd was good tonight.
Great crowd to start, but like it's a lot of wrestling and it's late. Mm-hmm. I agree with you on it was vicious. Like, it matched the feud. Mox was doing a lot of methodical kind of, snug stuff that made sense and I liked, and I don't know. I thought when he got the color early underneath the table there, I'm like, oh, this is gonna pick up.
Yeah, I didn't get much more violent than that, I suppose.
Yeah, like there were some moves that I liked. The stuff on the stairs was pretty looked pretty solid. That looked like it was quite snug. They did some good things. I didn't get the ladder. I loved the stomp onto the announce table. I'd never seen that before. Like, anytime, I don't know about you, but anytime I can see something that's unique and it doesn't look like it's killing the guys, I'm happy to see it. But
not only do I agree with you, even if it looks like it's killing the guys, I still like it.
Come on, I love it when it looks like, oh, that guy just broke his neck, but it's like, no, he landed on his hip. It's fine. But it just kind of, It was slow and plodding, and then once the ref bump happened, I'm like, okay, we're officially overbooked, and that's exactly what happened. So it was tough to see that, because I entered this match going, I'm so stoked that Swerve is back in the title scene where he belongs, and I'm stoked that we're gonna see that damn belt.
I'm going to throw it right back here to you, Ryan, because I saw a lot both on the Blue Sky timeline and in the Wrestling Brain Discord, which of course you can join at patreon.com/A0SHC. You get a new Shootopia episode every Thursday for like the next month. And if you listen to shoot interviews with me and, remarkable guests really this season, I don't know what you're up to. So patreon.com/J0SHC, we're going to be bitching about this pay-per-view in there tomorrow. And, but I saw a lot of general discussion, Ryan, about Mox's matches almost can't capture anything until the first ref bump, because everyone is just waiting for the, like you had mentioned before, the run in or an interference of some kind. I think people had in the back of their minds they'd probably see Hangman in this match too tonight. They did get that. Do you think that's true? Do you think people are waiting for at least one ref bump to come alive?
I think that's kind of the style he's had for the last quite a while. Like Mox, we're not here to knock his ability. Like, he is a great wrestler and a great worker, but I think at this point in his career and his point in his health, he's kind of reliant on some very good graphic, violent imagery, and you can't book a lights out, unsanctioned death match every single show. So on ones like this, I kind of knew it was coming, but I also was expecting just the favors to be done, and like, this has been going on a long time, and it just felt like it wasn't like he was gonna roll over, but Swerve's gonna get the better of him. I didn't expect a knockdown, drag him out, great match from them, and that didn't happen at all.
From there, like I had teased, Jon Moxley grabs a ladder out from under the ring. Ryan mentioned that great stomp that I thought was probably the best visual in this match. They brawl up and down the ladder. This is where you get that fingernail spot. Then the stomp happens. They're back into the ring. And I don't know what you call this besides funny. I outright laughed. I don't laugh at wrestling that often. Mox goes to throw a chair at Swerve, and Swerve ducks it, and it just wails Paul Turner. Paul Turner just takes the chair throw spot. I feel, are people with me here? Is the chair throw spot like more popular than just the chair shot now?
I'd say
certainly
so.
This is true in GCW, and I feel like in AEW. I feel like the throw the chair is more popular than the chair shot. Ryan, am I off my rocker here?
No, and I think, like, in the back of our minds, we think about the blunt force trauma to the skull and how we want, we don't want to just have a guy bend over and take the chair shots to the back. Like, it's just too, I don't know. It just feels too set up. So I like that spot. It comes out of nowhere, so you have the element of surprise. You got the person can get their hands up and protect themselves, and it looks and sounds awesome. So I like it, and I think it does. I think it will get a bigger reaction from me than just a ball. Steve Corino getting unprotected shots to the head from Masato Tanaka or something.
I like both.
Hey.
But I would just be doing whichever one was less popular at the time if I was a wrestler. Bashing guys in the melon. I'm Stevie Richards. You're JBL. Gadage every match. Just the most dangerous guy. No one will work me. And I'm grabbing chairs every match. It's my whole game. I'm loathed in the anyway.
Great. Hey,
WBCW's tomorrow.
Grit your teeth, brother.
Yeah, that's right. Grit your teeth. This is where, once the ref is down, we get Hangman Page, Ryan. I think we all sort of thought we'd probably see Hangman here either during the match or after the match, but it's at the first ref bump, he's the first person we see, and he jumps up onto the apron, and he sort of, and this is where his silly finisher, the buckshot lariat, actually really plays, because he's in position for his finisher, just standing on the apron, and he's deciding, am I hitting Jon Moxley? Am I hitting Swerve Strickland? Am I hitting Jon Moxley? Am I hitting Swerve Strickland? And before he can decide, the trios champions from earlier in the night, Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli run out, and it's 3v1. Hangman manages to fight off all three trios champions. I saw some complaints about this. You're an idiot if you complain about this. A world title, a championship will beat up the trios guys. No problem. I have no problem with this.
He also just had
so
to
Hangman
beat up.
cleans house.
beat up one guy because he ducked out of the way. He got to beat up the guy with the weird hair. He knocked Castagnoli out of there. It was very believable. I'm like, yeah, he would do that. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and they're trios champions. I could go win the trios title. If I had two friends, I could win the trios titles. You know,
me and Zoobs.
Done. I don't even know you guys need me in that situation. Two boxers. But after this attack, Mox runs in, and this forces the decision, and John Moxley eats a dead eye from Hangman Page. Then out come the three towels. Samoa Joe, Shibata, and Hook run out to further even the odds. A Swerve stomp is set up with the odds evened. Mox looks like he's in trouble like never before in this title reign. The crowd is up. Lights out. Who did you think it was going to be on the lights out ride? I know that, and chat, and be honest, maybe you thought the Young Bucks. I'm going to guess not too many people actually thought the Young Bucks. Or did you maybe just go, I don't have a clue who's here? Because my brain did something very specific that's going to seem very stupid when I reveal it. Very
excited to hear what you thought. Because we had seen all of the players in this. I had no idea. I was expecting a hot debut, or I don't know, just something out of left field. You know, who would want to come in? Who hates the Death Riders as well? And I had no idea. I was expecting somebody to come in and finish the job on our boy Mox. Where did your mind go, which you have cited stupid or specific?
There's going to be so many people in the chat who are like, well, that couldn't happen because X, Y, and Z. I know. I'm just saying, when the lights went out, I thought, I hope the people start barking. Brody King is joining the Death Riders. That's what I thought was going to, because lights out, and he's been getting like this slow burn push. And I think the Death Riders for a while, I've been sort of expecting them to add a member.
Okay.
And it was obviously not Brody King. It was our EVPs, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. And in the dark, you have to give them credit here. In the pitch black, they managed to get Swerve's wrists tied in their wrists.
Yeah.
And they hit the EVP trigger. They both nail him in the head with their knees. And the EVPs win the title for John Moxley, who comes in and pins Swerve Strickland.
You got to think, like, yeah, you brought up a good point. Like, to be in a match like that, in an environment with two seasoned at their best fighters, competitors, these very good wrestlers and businessmen, Nicholas and Matthew, they come in, they got wrist control, and anybody that knows anything about fighting, hand-to-hand combat, self-defense, you got to get the wrist control. So for them to get it on Swerve, who beat up the Death Riders in one fell swoop, you got these Young Bucks, I think they know a thing or two.
Matty Mac is in the chat. Matty Mac, a very smart guy. And he's saying, please explain this to me. And very often when people are saying, I don't understand this in wrestling, they're being stupid. Matty Mac is not being stupid. And sometimes people will say, well, we got to wait till Wednesday, and then you'll hear their reason, so you can't complain about it yet. Well, guess what? I'm gonna.
Thank God.
Because this makes no sense and is uninteresting. He's uninteresting to me to have the Young Bucks thrust into the world title.
It wasn't that good.
Even if they come out with some ham-fisted explanation that, they actually think that the Death Riders have done a good job and ratings are up, or whatever they're going to say to justify it. Of all the solutions to the main world title scene, this would be like inserting Chris Jericho into it. These are not acts that I want interacting with the world title. And it is not in line with what they've been trying to get across about the world title. So, yes, this is how they get to the team of Swerve and Hanger teaming up. We know that's got to be a part of the Swerve Hangman story. So I think we'll get Swerve and Hangman versus the Bucks, maybe at Double or Nothing. That's the next pay-per-view, Double or Nothing.
Yeah, that's correct.
But I couldn't help when those lights came back up and I saw those two fellas, I just was like, wow, talk about two guys I did not miss. I was like, oh no, they're back. That and not in a heel sense, in a, you know, you only get 10 segments on a 2-hour TV show. We don't have to give one back to them, do we?
I spent a lot of time recently, like, yeah, kind of going, where are the Young Bucks? And then that thought is immediately followed up with, like, oh, I remember the last thing they were doing and how underwhelming it was and how insignificant it was and how, you know, the TV time it took away from guys. So when I did realize that, like, it was an underwhelming, just like black hole of, you know, it sucked the excitement out of the place. And
you felt it in the place.
And you wonder, like, of all the guys, what's the connection? What are they looking to do? You have, if you're like, these people are like trying to murder everybody in your company. What is the benefit of this? Like, it makes no sense, and nobody cares where it's going.
Yeah, and how could they? What have the Bucks done that's even remotely interesting in the last? Give it up to FTR tonight. Them and Bucks felt so boring at the last All In together, but the FTR feels totally freshened up. The Bucks felt the opposite on their performance on tonight's show for me. I just was not interested. Tito's 2020 saying, way back when the Bucks disappeared, there's that awkward scene of them shredding documents and it was implied it had something to do with Mox. Yeah, that's true. Again, I'm not saying there's not going to be a reason for it. I'm saying my interest in the EVPs determining the world title is zero. I'm uninterested in it. That finish tonight is antithetical to what I enjoy in this company. It is what I don't like.
It's going to need to be the most incredible piece of booking to take our respective interest in this, which is in a puddle on the ground, you know, out of it. Like, I can't think, my pie in the sky dream of what they could do on Wednesday to explain this and have a buy-in from me is, I still don't care. I don't care if they take, you know, Bret Hart's DNA out of a Jurassic Park like mosquito bite, and they turn him into a Superman to beat Bill Goldberg. I got nothing. And
only one name that could fix it all for me. If all these the Death Riders, and now they have more run-in guys in Matt and Nick Jackson, and they're all standing there, oh ho ho, we're the man, no one can touch. And on the speakers just goes, it's a cold world, better bundle up. It's a cold world, better bundle up. And it's a cold world, better bundle up. And if you see me coming at you, better knuckle up. And Eddie Kingston just sort of waddles to the ring. Because he's got a beef with all these dweebs. Okay. Each and every one of them run the line. Mox, Claudio, Wheeler, Nick, Matt, Eddie Kingston could swing a back fist at all of them. But he's injured. I don't think we have him. And so it's like, why do the Death Riders need more run-in guys? It's just so underthought, or like, I don't know. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love on Wednesday to be like, oh, they actually have an interesting thing here. But just seeing the Death Riders with the backing of the EVPs, like, oh, great, the corporate Death Riders.
Oh, yeah, it made me think of, I don't know, made me think of New York back in the day, where it's like, let's put the two heel factions together, and you've got the corporate DX or the corporate ministry, and that was never exciting or good. And I thought we've escaped that, but no, we're gonna have some corporate guys trying to kill their employees. Which there's a couple of HR jokes they'll make, and then they'll put on some Jordans, and that'll be that. And we'll wait for the next Tony Storm segment, because that's the best thing about this show.
Yeah, I think we should move on and talk about that match next. I don't feel like I have a ton left to say about this. Left a very bad taste in my mouth. I haven't felt that sour about AEW probably since the last time the Young Bucks did something stupid that I didn't enjoy. So yeah, bated breath for Wednesday, I guess. Let's see where it all goes. I will happily come on this show on Wednesday and say I was wrong. This is interesting if they manage to make it into something interesting, but I reserve my right to doubt it. Anything else on the main event for you, Ryan?
No, my notes, we summed them up real quick, and that the match is not what we thought it would be. The outcome is not what we thought it would be. And the surprise run-in were the last things that we wanted.
Well said, my brother. Okay, let's talk about something that I liked a great deal. The other side of the coin. It was timeless Tony Storm putting the AEW Women's World Championship on the line against the Megasis, Megan Bayne. And Ryan, I thought that this was, matches can be so much, right? Sometimes it's just a match. Sometimes, it can be so many things. In this instance, this was the what's the best Megan Bayne can do right now test, which is a match that I love. So, okay, you're used to get this on Okada's title run all the time, right? You'd get, okay, where's this guy's ceiling right now? We know for sure, some exceptions, but probably the best he's going to be able to do right now is going to be in a main event on a G1 show against Okada. And I really feel like Megan Bayne got that opportunity tonight against Timeless Toni Storm. And while I never know how to talk about some stuff in wrestling, even all these years into doing it, like that Megan Bayne bump off the German suplex, the avalanche German suplex from Toni Storm, is obviously insanely dangerous. Either Toni doesn't throw her hard enough or she under rotates, whatever you want to look at it. I don't know the ins and outs.
Is that where she landed on her forehead there?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's incredibly dangerous. Like, so dangerous.
Terrifying.
But for me, I like that kind of wrestling. I know that there's some people out there, they watch that. I think they're pretending, but they'll tweet about it and say, oh, it takes me out of the match. It's too dangerous. And for me, I'm just going, this is that sick shit. This rocks. And this match had two of those because earlier in the match is it a butterfly suplex? I think I have it written down. Okay, I don't see it even. Maybe we'll go as
Wasn't
I go through it. But there is a suplex.
Like a fisherman.
There's something where Toni lands on her arm and hip and takes like a brutal bump off of it too. But I like loose wrestling. I like finesse wrestling too. But I thought that these two had a great, I hate using this word. I say a great sloppy match, but I mean that like I praise the Mick Foley match. Like I praise the Joey Janela match. There's a little bit of non-perfectionist unathleticism of two human beings fighting, and there's a believable struggle between them. And in this case, the struggle, let's be honest, so many David versus Goliath matches look so similar. They kick the leg, then they grapple, everybody the same size on the mat, they tire them out, and then they start hitting the power move. Then one big power move, they finally get them up, and then they're into their normal move set. What this totally defied those conventions. What
I love, you've summed up what makes wrestling so great and so perfect. And like every great moment in wrestling history has been more or less incredibly dangerous, and they don't get gravely injured. And you go, oh, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. So that's, unfortunately, we want good wrestling is towing the line, going slightly over the line, and then pulling you back before you can't feel your arms and legs. So
knowing when to do the risks.
Of course. And yeah, it was spooky that that she landed on her forehead, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna like just, but it didn't happen. She's fine. She finished having a great match. So you know what? You showed the replay 8,000 times, and you go, God damn, what a banger! That's wrestling. That's why everybody wants to recreate Hell in a Cell '98. It's because if you don't die, it's iconic. And that's what happened in this match. And I also loved it. And I loved the talking David versus Goliath. I mean, she comes out dressed up as in her Rocky Balboa cosplay. We got
cool was that?
Luther as her cornerman, and it told the story perfectly.
Then she came out boxing initially.
Like it's just that's what I love. Like you and I are both very high on Toni Storm for all the right reasons. It's that anything she does is just thought out and not, I don't know. It's like wrestling. In wrestling, you could be like, well, it made sense, so it was good. No, everything she does is fantastic and it makes sense. But it's fantastic first. She adds this, underdog story to this already very good angle, and just she's got this over the top goofy character that is goofy and will make you laugh, but then she's also serious as hell and will dip her fist covered in double-sided tape into broken glass and fuck somebody up. Like she's the quintessential, like she's a perfect wrestler right now. She's got everything that you could want, and I loved the approach to the match, like you said. And there were those David versus Goliath spots, but it wasn't I'm chopping down a tree with my leg, and damn it, it told a great story.
It sure did. shout out to Floob. It was the second of those belly to belly suplexes, not the butterfly suplex that happened on. Thank you, Floob. And yeah, I think you said it really well there, Ryan. A little bit of outside of the ring dynamic. Penelope Ford getting pretty involved as a heel here. Finally gets her lick in that Tony bit her tongue off for on the show on Wednesday. But then she's on the apron going for it again. And Luther goes under and electric chairs her. And then walks and shifts to a fireman's carry and just carries Penelope Ford out. Gets like a huge pop for it. That. Really fun moment. The big man Luther.
Like, fuck this. I'm bigger and stronger than you. And you're like, you are ruining this match. Out you go.
Here I 1 for 1. I leave, you leave. And I thought that was very fun. Returning to the Fez press, which has been this like big reaction spot for Toni Storm, which is just, I don't know why it's so funny to me. But doing an Austin move that should never have left the 1950s and still getting a pop for it is just extremely cool. She doesn't get it. Bane catches her on the first 2 times doing it, but then when she finally hits the third one, it starts her big comeback. She hits that twist STFU that I like so much. There's a Storm Zero and then a 1 kick out by Bane. Enormous reaction. I love that. A 1 kick out. I'm glad they don't use them all the time, but they are, when used well, just so effective. Go ahead, right?
How about how those the hip attacks? She does 4 of them. They build. Each one gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the way they've shot it at the last one, they go to the camera angle from above. Like, we give AEW, and rightfully so much shit for their production, but that one, it documented it perfectly, and it built it up, and that 4th one was just jarring with the way she was hitting the turnbuckle. Looked fantastic. And then, the 1 count, I'm like, this is exactly what Megan Bayne should be doing in this spot. And it hooked me. I loved it.
Ashley was just saying, I'm waiting for Tony to make a joke where she said she pressed Luthez. That's extremely funny. Well, that seems absolutely going to happen. Maddie Matt calling Megan Bayne's bump an Ibushi bump. That's really funny. That's all. She's just watching Coda tapes.
Toni Storm.
The end of the match comes along when Bane goes for that signature F5, but the crafty veteran that she is, Toni Storm, manages to catch an inside cradle on her and catches the 1, 2, 3. She is truly, Ryan, timeless.
I just saw this woman have a feature role in a film about wrestling on Friday night, and here she is cleaning up in the ring on Sunday night. You love to see it.
A star on all fronts, much like our own Ryan Schaap.
And much like Toni Storm in the movie Queen of the Ring, I don't speak that much because I'm not as good as the other people on camera.
That's very funny. So anyway, I want to really talk about Megan Bayne exiting this, and then we'll talk a little bit about Toni Storm, because I think Bayne looks really good in the loss here. This is why I had such a problem with the Camille booking. Unlike Camille, Megan Bayne lost her manager. That was part of the distraction, and then she picks up the loss. She can get a little bit of protection from that. Losing to Toni Storm, who, like you pointed out, Ryan, is probably like the number 1 person in AEW right now, maybe 2 behind Ospreay, but I think you could probably make a pretty good case for either of them. There's nothing to be lost, but I really, more than most, need her to not disappear off TV. Need to continue doing something with Megan Bayne, Ryan.
Isn't that the issue with anybody that's in a title hunt in AEW?
It really is.
They got the spotlight and all the attention and all of the efforts of the machine is behind them, and then they leave the title picture and it's, oh yeah, Jay White wrestles here still. I agree, and she's I'm not the most well versed in her, but what I've seen on Dynamite and a little bit on Collision, like I enjoy it, and she looks unique as hell. She stands out, just big, aggressive, dominant person who shouldn't have the title.
This promise of Jade Cargill fulfilled, right?
Absolutely.
We finally get that Goldberg, for lack of a better term, woman. And maybe I think they put her in the title too soon. Tony needed something to do, and she's a great villain of the week, so to speak. But I really need a continued push for Megan Bayne, maybe even a run at the TBS title. She could be the Mercedes opponent. Mercedes is in the tournament.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tricky for Megan Bayne.
I don't know. It's a good match where both people come out of it looking stronger. And
100%. Thank you to Cycle Like Sedines, subscribing with Prime for 17 months. Again, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime. You just have to click subscribe and then click the checkmark box for use my Amazon Prime subscription.
And you should cycle.
And if you don't,
like the Sedins.
That's exactly right.
It's a hockey reference.
You know the Sedins, right? And they were hockey guys.
And they loved the cycle. And it's a steroid reference.
They love to do steroids.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, it's cool. It's just so cool to do. Anyway, I really thought that this is my match of the night, I think.
No question.
And I thought that it was better for the danger that was involved in it, but really showed that there were much busier matches on this card and not just moves, angles and finishes. And this one kept it simple, stupid, and I thought was all the better for it. So credit to Tony Storm and Megan Bayne. I really liked this one.
Thank you for reading the acronym on my t-shirt.
I didn't even mean to do that. Oh, that's too funny. That's a sick shirt. Back up for a sec. Yeah, that's cool as hell. That's a nice shirt.
Yeah, it looks like it's a trans pride kiss shirt, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, little
trans rights kiss that's not bad.
Gene's got no problem with that. Paul is the one that kind of shoots his mouth off a bit.
I bet you Gene's like, yeah, trans people have money, right?
That's what he said on on Club Random with Bill Maher.
Hang on, there's a Gene Simmons Club Random?
Oh, is there a Gene Simmons?
How have I not seen this?
Dude, there's the two I've watched that I love is Gene and then Sammy Hagar. And
oh man.
And Bill's just
Club Random.
Bill's just like, tell me about all the chicks you used to have sex with.
Yeah, Bill's just fixing himself a drink, smoking a joint. He's like, I never had a wife and kids, you know.
Sammy's
over
like,
and over.
I've been married for 30 years trying to not get in trouble. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But Gene essentially says, trans people buy Kiss records too, Bill.
Like, no surprise to me. I would have guessed that to be his exact take. Let's talk a little trios title action. Mostly I want to talk about the post-match angle here. Yep. Rated FTR challenging for the Death Riders trios titles. Ryan, I learned a shocking fact at the top of this match. And tell me if you find this shocking too. It's that the Death Riders, the team of Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Pac, are 10-0 with these titles.
When does that happen?
10? Chad, am I insane? I would have guessed 4 or 5. I'm being serious. I know that makes me seem stupid. I know. I watch Dynamite Live every week. I watch Collision every week. I didn't know they defended those things 10 times. 10-0.
They came out
with the Death Riders.
They came out. Rated FTR came out as one nostalgia act. The Death Riders came out as the second nostalgia act because I went, oh yeah, the Trios Championship. And remember that one? You guys remember?
Yeah, that's more my memory. I thought, for all I knew, the 3 were in the briefcase with the world title. I didn't know they were doing this.
Why do you think it's so devastating? It's like 120 pounds of gold in that thing.
Chat's nailing it here. Qui-Gon Jinn and Juice saying, is Rampage back? Yeah, because this stuff would happen all the time when they had records and AEW Dark and Rampage. They'd be like, oh, challenger for the TNT title. It's Ring Dingerson. He's 42-0 over the last week in AEW, and you're like, I don't even have 42 matches. And then sure enough, you're like, well, he's on all that. And then Psychologic City saying Death Riders on AEW Dark. And Ashton Kutcher reflecting my thoughts saying, I remember them winning the title. And then learned what I thought. What did you think of this match, Ryan? I thought this was very ho-hum from an actual wrestling standpoint.
Well, first thing I noticed was that rated FTR. I liked their red gear. I did not like the drawing of the skull on the video screens. It just reminded me of what a huge nerd Edge is. And
Edge has terrible taste, dude.
I was thinking that his motif, his visual brand, is like the beginning of School of Rock or
wishes. I know what you mean though. The like notebook rock and roll skulls. That's a great credit scene.
I was like, where have I seen this before, and why does he keep leaning in on it? I thought there was some nice spots. It was an unremarkable match, but there was nice stuff. Like I really liked there was that secret leapfrog they did with the sneaky tag over the top. The FTR
the double sharpshooter spot.
Yeah, like I don't dislike FTR, but I've seen these guys have a very good 1988 NWA match that this is how tag team wrestling should be. Yeah. It was nice that it was nice that Wheeler got the pin because he's probably the only thing that the Philly crowd really was awake for. They seemed to hate.
Yeah,
Wheeler
credit to
Yuta.
Wheeler Yuta in his hometown getting hometown heat.
I wrote a joke here that I think you'll like based on who you side with in this beef of yesteryear. Cope.
Well, I try to stay neutral on here.
Cope took his eyes off the prize after the miss spear and the bump in. He almost bumps into one FTR. He got so distracted. You think somebody's long-term spouse was in the ring?
You're saying, is there a chance Matt Hardy and okay, I know Rated FTR is broken up, so I don't really need to complain about this. But guys, the Shatter Machine and then a spear is so stupid as a finisher because it involves the guy no-selling the Shatter Machine. I've seen it twice now. The guy eats the Shatter Machine and then has to pop up for Ed Copeland to come in and hit the run and hug on him. And it's so dumb that it makes my brain hurt. The finish, you keep him down.
The Shatter Machine's also a really good finish. It looks so great. Sick. Why don't they tee him up with the spear?
Why wouldn't he tee him up with for the spear? Then you drag him to his feet into the ropes, you Flapjack and Codebreaker. But anyway, I didn't think much about this match. I thought the crowd was pretty dead for all of it, besides the Wheeler Yuta stuff, which was impressive. The Claudio breakup moments where he was just like kept making the saves just barely. Like, I appreciated what they were doing. I just had a hard time connecting with the ton of it.
Josh, this is my first time doing a show like this, and when I'm doing a review, I wanna it's a gig, so you wanna do your job. You want to take your notes. I want to have things to say about each. You want to watch the damn thing. I know how this match was going to look, and they were teasing to a breakup all night, and I'm like, all right, or all programs. I'm like, all right, we'll get to that. And I saw the Wrestling Brain Blue Sky account typed in just Zeds, like they were asleep for it. Whoever runs that program, it's a very large staff here. And I was like, thank God, because during that match, I was Google image searching photos of Alex Ovechkin breaking Wayne Gretzky's goal record today.
You were not connecting this match either.
And I was like, great.
But I thought that they did manage to rescue it post-match. They hit the stupid Shatter Machine in the spear. It's not enough. The Riders end up getting the better of them after, I think, does it say who shoves who? Oh, yeah. Yuta shoves Dax into Cope, and then it causes a miscommunication, and then the Death Riders pick up the win, like you said, Ryan, with Wheeler getting the pin over Dax Harwood. And then Dax attacks Copeland post-match, brings 2 chairs into the ring. He's doing the concerto on Cope. It's the move du jour in AEW, the concerto.
2 French terms there.
Thank you very much. And he lays him out. And Cash refuses. He goes to hand Cash the chair and he's like, come on, do it. And Cash's like, I'm not going to do it. And then Cash shoves him. He's like, I'm not doing this. And then he's like, fuck it. I am doing this. We're FTR. Yeah. And these guys hit the arms. The boos start to come. And they just start to beat down on old Ed Copeland. And they do hit the concerto on him. This works for me for 2 concertos on him. Thank you. Cash does do the second one very willingly. I thought this was just super effective. I thought that far be it for me to praise Cope, but he was an effective babyface here in terms of people cared about him getting killed. We all are so familiar with the neck damage that just does play differently doing this stuff on him. And beyond that, FTR are just way better as heels. And they're way better as a tag team than a trio. So the results are just going my way. Left and right here, Ryan. What did you think of this, both performance-wise and in terms of where it leads?
I loved it. It's listen, FTR, when they're baby faces, like they need to cycle out. Like, you need to hate them so you can love them again, because they've done their bits where, man, I'm gonna fight like a 9-year-old girl, and I love North Carolina. Like, yeah, I know you do, but it's kind of you've worn out your welcome on that one.
Oh, yeah.
But I like the heel turn. I think there's a better spot for them on the card as heels, and they play better. I am really loving, like, as much as we dump on the main event, and this show still has a 4 for me, I'm loving the group or a faction or a tag team has a disagreement, and instead of like the most simple disagreement leads to the dissolving of the team, they're like, okay, yeah, you make a good point. I trust you. We saw it with the Hurt Syndicate trying to get MJF in. There was another one last week, I remember. And then this one, it's like, instead of, I was worried that FTR would break up and then it would be like Cash and Choplin versus Dax and somebody else. And it's like, no, it's like, man, you're my brother. You make sense. And let's fuck them up.
And I like them as the never break up team.
That's what it should be. Like, you don't like this guy? I kind of like him. Well, I guess that's it for us. 15 years of like blood friendship is down the drain.
Exactly. Makes no sense when you lay it out like that, right?
So I'm loving this stuff. And then I can't tell you how happy I was when they did the second concerto and Christian did not come out. And I'm like, just leave him lay and let him go away. And then, Christian doesn't make the save. FTR looks like bloodthirsty heels. The EMTs come out and they take the neck brace. And he's like, oh, but he gets on.
Cash is dancing around with the neck brace. And that was all great. Him being such a ham.
Gets on the gurney. He's like, he needs it more than I do.
That was really good. You're right. I really enjoyed that. That's what I think the all-in match will be Ed Choplin and Christian versus FTR. I think that'll probably be and that'll be fun. That'll get a great reaction. But yeah, didn't think much of this match, but thought that everything after the match was both well performed and moved things in the right direction. I just remembered the Young Bucks were in the main again. It legitimately made me angry. I just have to not think about it. I just have to move on. I want to talk about it again. So we talked about it. I can't. But I'm mad again.
Kick party. Super kick.
Okay, you can't get to me now.
Super kick party.
I'm safe here.
Super kick. Doing the things. Going to church. Having a good time. Selling some merch. Super kick party. Super kick.
I don't like it already.
Very nice. Very nice by both Ryan and Dutch Mantel. Okay. Let's get back to the stuff I did like on this card. And then we'll talk a little bit about these next two matches, and then we're whipping through the BS.
Oh, no.
Mercedes Moné versus Julia Hart. This crowd loved Julia, Ryan.
Yep.
What do you have any explanation for? I couldn't have been alone. I guess I didn't know Julia was this over. I didn't know. That might just be on me. But this crowd would have received her winning this title off of Mercedes Moné tonight. Thumbs up, no problem. Believe it, buy it, love it, moving on. Because it's not for the title, right? Just moving on in the tournament. I really thought there was a chance, not a chance they were going to do it, but like a chance that they should have called the audible. I really thought it was to that level. The crowd was so ready for the leader of the Hounds of Hell, Julia Hart, the big hat wearer. It was cool, man. I thought it was nice to see a youngster get that organic and not doing any big play into the crowd. Nothing. Oh, I'm dying for it. Just being herself. Great to see.
She's cool as hell, and they in the lead up to the match as they're making their entrances. They were putting her over in like a JR kind of way. Like, this is a damn talent that showed up day one wanting to learn. And they mentioned she was just like, not just a smiling cheerleader or something. And I just kind of like, I had never thought about Julia Hart as a talent that, was, progressing and getting better. I just thought that she was this cool looking, dark brooding character that was there. So I loved it. Like, as soon as they said that on the commentary, I'm like, hell, it's great to hear she's improving. I want to see her improve. Oh, she is pretty smooth. Yeah, there was a couple clunky moments, but like they rebounded and were comfortable out there. And like, yeah, this was a coming out party for her. And I don't want to make too many New York comparisons, but like, I've watched both of these people wrestle a handful of times, but they, Mercedes gave her so much. It reminded me of that match on New York Raw where Brett faced 1, 2, 3 Kid, and who was going over, but Brett gave him everything, and like Julia Hart was looking fantastic in this match. She had so many spots, and like you said, the crowd was so damn over for her. I was too hoping that maybe we should change this thing on the fly, because she had a great performance, and much like Megan Bayne, like I'm excited to see what they do with her next. Like immediately, she got the rub, and it's great to see.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I would even add, okay, so I've said this before, but she will never be able to be more impressive than using the name Hart in wrestling, and no one cares. That's the most impressive thing about Julia Hart to me.
Big time.
No one cares that she is Julia Hart and not related to. Can you imagine if I was like, oh, I'm going into wrestling, Josh Austin. That's gonna be mine. Now it is her real last name is Hart, but still, you would think somebody would be like, you're not Brett's niece.
But there's something that when like, oh, it's Julia Hart or Julia, and like Brett's ex-wife is Julie Hart, but there's
it makes every time you go.
There's just this like, no, she's not a Hart. It's fine. Like you just know, and there's just like no confusion mentally about it.
So you would say there were a couple clunky parts in this match. I actually would borderline go as far as to say it was almost an off night for Mercedes purely from a technician standpoint, but it didn't matter because wrestling isn't about those things. It's about, was the crowd behind you and invested in the result, and are you being brought along? And I thought they more than crossed that, but I sort of thought Mercedes, like, oh, with a lighter opponent, she's going to really get some stuff in, and she really did. Her lung blower has never looked better, I don't think, than tonight, really able to get Julia up and then down for it. But I did think that there was a little bit of awkwardness between them. I don't know if you chalk that up to Julia or an off night for Mercedes or whatever, but I loved this match despite a couple moments like that. I love Mercedes just so dedicated to her knees, like knees up on the standing moonsault from Julia, of course the Meteora. On top of that, she does the lung blower with the knees. She does a code breaker as well. Like just so much knee based offense. And I thought it all played really well against Julia, who was willing to just sell like crazy tonight. And I thought Julia's octopus hold at the end, which is, it's not an easy thing to do. Somebody standing like on the mat. If somebody better can sort of walk you through it, I feel like it's probably a lot. I'm not saying I know how to do an octopus hold, but I know this is true for submissions in general. When you're on like I could never hit a go-go plata on somebody standing, but if I am like being walked through it in position, I can do it. So it's impressive to me that she managed to do that in motion.
I ask you this because I was watching live and I was taking notes at the time or looked away, and they were talking about a slip or something, or the ropes were slippery. And that, I think that was one of the clunky things. I didn't see it, but I remember them kind of covering for them.
That's I feel like interesting. Maybe I didn't notice that, but really good match here, I thought. And like you said, Julia Hart coming out smelling like roses, which is great to see.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do they need to sell Julia Hart hats?
Yes. Easiest yes I can. Absolutely, Ryan. Great idea by you.
They're so
Julia
good.
I'd buy one.
Yeah. They're sick as hell, man.
Big, it's like a brim with like silver rings, I think.
Yeah, check it out on the photo there.
Let's see. Yeah. Look at that.
I liked the final pin sequence. I just thought that you know, like you said, Mercedes had an off night, but like just, you know, they hit the high spots, the important spots. The match made I really enjoyed these two working, and you know, it looked like they were beating the shit out of each other, and it was very good. The line of the night, you know, in the trying to pop the boys category, that goes to Taz, where the Philly crowd is chanting Julia, Julia, and Taz goes, you know, it'd be a lot easier just to chant Heart, and the whole announce team is breaking up, giggling, and I'm like, you're not wrong.
That is extremely good. I thought a good character moment for Mercedes when she has Julia in the Tree of Woe, and then she hits like the cross-legged Malachi Black pose in front of her, then just belts her with a slap.
Loved it.
Thought that was very cool. Thought these two have you could return to this match at any time, and I think people would be excited to see it. So great job by both of them. All right, Ryan. We hurt people.
Hell yeah.
We hurt people. It's time for Bounty Bill, the team of Big Bill and Bounty Keith, to take on the Hurt Syndicate for the AEW World Tag Team titles.
Gotta cut you off there because you really brought some attention. You brought some eyeballs and some earballs to the We Hurt People hook on Double Dudes. And all of a sudden, it's now a thing. It wasn't a thing last week.
It's true.
You made it a thing. You're a trendsetter.
Yeah, I invented singing We Hurt People, I think.
Well, I invented the photo dump in 2019. You invented singing We Hurt People.
Yeah. No one was singing wrestling themes before me.
Hey,
I legitimately did think that. I was like, oh, that's the most over the song's ever been tonight. That's great.
Hot take for you. In 2025, is it a bad sign if people are singing your theme song at AEW?
Yeah, it kind of means you're a nostalgia act, doesn't it? It's only New York castaways who have it: Jericho, Edge, and Bobby Lashley. But the We Hurt People one rules. There's no getting around it. It's just, I wish it wasn't. I mean, you can't get too picky with this stuff, but I would love if instead of just doing it along with the song, like during the match when Bobby Lashley's on offense, I would love the crowd to just come up with a "We Hurt People, We Hurt People." Like during the, I think that would be so
could not agree more. And
how babyface are these guys? Oh my god, people love them.
It's hard to dislike them. Like they're not really doing anything offensive. They're just cool as hell ass kickers. And like goddamn, like how many decades have we sat watching Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley be on TV and like not be able to talk? And it's like, God, these guys are great, but if they just, if there's just something missing. And
Bobby Lashley came across like the least cool guy ever. Multiple times that I've seen. Remember the sisters thing he did with I think it was Sami Zayn?
Oh,
I was still doing top marks at that point in time. I was like, ew, dude, what is this?
No, it's like, yeah, we know these guys are killers, and they gave Brock Paul Heyman, like give them somebody that can resonate. And it happened in another territory, but like the combination of those guys with MVP is just, I absolutely love it. I don't care how old they are. They just seem with it. They seem cool. They just seem tough as hell. And like,
legitimate.
I loved MVP getting on the commentary and like low key making the joke to say, "Hey, Taz, I'm here to help. I'm on your side." Talking about the the whites and the blacks on the commentary team, and it was just cracked me up.
I was making it clear.
But I loved when he's like name dropping the artists and the producers of the Hurt Syndicate song. Like just everything's cool.
Stuff like that is so cool.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by Big Bill in this match, not for a reason. Normally we find him impressive for lots of normal reasons, but it really occurred to me tonight. Sorry. Yeah, you can't. But it's funny you say that because I really was reminded of the Enzo and Cass act tonight, because it's like, of course this guy knows how to be a really compelling hot tag for a small guy who's just going to sell the whole match. Like that was his entire act, and it was very over for years and years and years. And I thought tonight the match format was such that Bounty Keith basically couldn't hang with Shelton Benjamin or Bobby Lashley, and he needed to make it to Big Bill in order for Bill to even the odds. And they but eventually when MJF, who's sitting in the audience, and hits Bill with a diamond ring punch when he's on the outside, and it takes Bill out of this match. From there on out, it's just, Shelton and Bobby Lashley match only goes another minute, I think, just feasting on Bounty Keith. And I thought match layout wise, this was really cool. Like, you probably wouldn't go back and rewatch this match. It wasn't some sort of barn burner, but I thought you got the dynamic of both teams across very, very well.
It was the perfect second match on the card. And I marveled I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the two teams working against each other. And I just loved how over the Hurt Syndicate's like over with the fans. They're so popular. They're resonating, but it's not like in this ironic I don't know, hips.
No, they're actually just cool ass kickers. Like, it's very basic.
Like,
you see it in MMA all the time. It's like a guy's not that well spoken. He's not, but when he gets in the octagon, he knuckles up and he kicks ass. It's like, yep, great.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, like we're more or less out of the ironic hipster doldrums of the 2010s and the 2000s, where like Bizarro land, like they're heels, but we love them, and we're gonna fuck up all of the energy of the show. So like they're responding to them, but they're not doing it ironically, or they're not doing it to the detriment of the team they're against. So I really like that. Brian Keith had a great counter out of a side slam on Bobby Lashley's shoulder, where he landed on his feet to get out of it, and I'd never seen that.
Calling that out.
Yeah, and I am like, oh, like that's you. Like, just I love seeing something unique, and just there were a lot of good counters on this show that really stood out to me.
Yeah, Bounty Keith was Mikey Whipwreck out there tonight. Like, he was just no offense of his own. Like, he's using Bobby Lashley's momentum against him to send him into the corner. And like you say, jumping over, landing on his feet, hitting the trip, but it's never like a move he's doing. He can only fend off these guys. And actually, doesn't Mikey Whipwreck work backstage at AEW? I think I'm right about this. Can somebody check that for me? I think Mikey Whipwreck's an agent in AEW. And if he is, I would bet he agented this match.
He is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised to find out, Mike, they would be wise, if knowing this match layout, to be like, hey, what's some of that shit you did to never, do moves?
But it was
Psychological Dean saying, Hurt Syndicate are exhibit A of just taking the easy layup in wrestling. The kiss of wrestling. Ryan, don't get mad. Qui-Gon Jinn and Juice. They are cool, and it's fun to see them beat the tar out of people. Very simple formula. Yeah, hard to agree with that.
Don't get me wrong. Kiss sucks.
Whoa, hang on, man. I'm a Berian. You can't think Kiss sucks. What? Our uncles all love Kiss, dude. Dan Cazzetto and I talk about this all the time because his family's so Italian, right? It's all Portuguese. The Portuguese Canadian immigrants, man. You can't put on Love Gun in front of those guys.
Dan, I know that Dan loves Kiss properly, and I've talked to him about Kiss, where it's like we all like good music in the grand scheme of things, and like I like Kiss, but if I'm talking about Kiss with the White Stripes or the War on Drugs or whatever band I love and appreciate, like they are the drizzling shit.
Yeah, well, how many coffins did they sell? Okay.
War on Drugs.
Back to the tag match here. Of course, never in doubt that the Hurt Syndicate, we're going to get the win here. They end up getting the pin on Bounty Keith. I hope that the Murder Machines are ready to go and get rehabbed back into this position. But otherwise, the tag team got some fresh blood in FTR tonight. They get head right to the title scene. Really feels like the tag division is up and running again, and that's a great feeling. And I think the Hurt Syndicate are just outstanding people to build it around.
You're going to build it around the Hurt Syndicate. You're going to build it around heel FTR. But most importantly, you're going to build it up around the jewel of the tag team division, and that's the Young Bucks. I can't.
What else is on this card, Ryan?
You threw up all over your
We talked about that. Oh, we haven't talked about these. We'll talk about these. Okay, here. I'm going to do the match we're going to say the least about next. How does that feel? We're getting right to it. I don't even know if I should set up my page for this one. It's the TNT title is on the line. It's Adam Cole, and he wins it off of Dan Garcia. Daniel Garcia hits a great twisting gotch style pile driver in this match. Adam Cole wins, and they hit a respect angle after the match. Ryan, your thoughts on this one?
Panama Sunrise is becoming the super kick. It's becoming the DDT.
Worst finisher in the company.
I saw about 45 of them in this, and I don't care about it. And my one note: this was a match I barely paid attention to. I remember when the TNT title was significant and cool as hell, and it was reminiscent of Rob Van Dam and the ECW television title.
Where's Miro? Where's Darby Allin?
They didn't know how long it took to climb Mount Everest.
Qui-Gon Jinn, you say, when was the last TNT title defense before this? Last Saturday on Collision. It was. I know the answer to this one. Last Saturday. Yeah, I thought this was super dull. Crowd was into it by the end, so credit to them. I think probably it depends how much you like saying boom, is how much you like seeing this match.
Man, nothing turned me off of the old NXT faster than when I realized there was just a bunch of guys with a bunch of entrances that were fun. And I didn't care what happened afterwards. And
people just want to sing the song, and the actual wrestling is so secondary. But again, they were into this by the end. I just wasn't. I'm basically just willing to say I was wrong about Daniel Garcia. I really thought he had huge upside and thought that he could be sort of a long-term franchise guy for AEW. I think he's being passed. Like I think Kevin Knight is somebody I'd invest in over him. Obviously, like somebody at the Kyle Fletcher tier has surpassed him, and they haven't strapped up Kyle Fletcher. He's had better booking against better opponents, but I thought Daniel Garcia was the caliber of guy who could probably make uninteresting stuff interesting, and just hasn't managed to cross that for me.
There's been a couple of guys, like, I don't know, Jericho once talked about how much Sammy Guevara reminded him of Eddie Guerrero, and I'm like, okay, like, I could, like, sure, I'm gonna trust the Ayatollah.
My ears hurt.
Super kick party. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna trust. Like, this was years ago where I could still trust Jericho, and I'm like, no, he was wrong. And it's like, then he kind of is trying to give the rub to Sammy Guevara, and I'm like, to Daniel Garcia, and I'm like, no. When the most memorable thing about this guy is that he had that dance. And he had months of will he, won't they leave, whatever faction that Jericho faction that was. Just, I mean, I'm sure he's a victim of, if you're not in the title scene in AEW, they got nothing for you. But
he's a champ.
Well, yeah, that too.
He is the title scene.
He is the title scene, and it's just, there's a guy that's a good wrestler, and he's from Buffalo, and he's got some friends from Buffalo.
I was hoping when they went to do the respect angle post-match, Daniel Garcia was going to like spit on him or something and like go back to Red Death and just be a full on the Red Trunks heel again. I really feel like he was never better than that. I hope that we can get back there because I want to like him again, but I can't pretend, I'm not going to be a guy who's just held to his beliefs despite all the evidence. Like, I really thought Daniel Garcia was going to be awesome. And I can't think of the last, I'm sure he's had an awesome match in the last year, but I can't think of it. When did he wrestle Bryan? Like, I feel like that was the last time I was super into him.
Yeah, he's just the guy, like, he had a lot of potential, but he was just like the frustrated kid in the faction that's trying to break free. And then once that kind of buzz wore off, it's, well, what's he do? What makes him special? Not much.
I like Matty Mac's attitude here. I want you to be right here, Matty. Danny still has it. He's seen flashes. This was just an awful reign and had an awful finish to it. That's true. I just saw him as a guy who could like make the chicken shit into the chicken salad a bit more.
Yeah.
But I want to believe that you're right and that he still has it and is going to go on to, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he should be a hard guy to get over, like just meaningful wrestling. But like the TNT title seems like the right idea, but they just wouldn't put him on Dynamite.
Dude, he has to find something that works for him that he can just that will elevate him. Like, look at Ricochet. Like, I don't even know if we'll talk about that match, but he went from being the most vanilla ice cream schmuck in wrestling to, goddamn, is he taking those promos from Andrew Tate? Like, he's a piece of shit.
I thought he was great. Yeah, I thought he was. I think it was actually Matty Mac in the Discord who called him wrestling's Drake. And I hadn't thought of him in those terms. And I was like, oh, that totally locks it in for me. That's absolutely like that might even be the outright character inspiration when you hear it said aloud. We'll talk about that one in a second here. I do just want to say that Adam Cole with the TNT title is not interesting to me, but I think he can offer some elevation of it, which it needs right now.
Yep.
So it's not all doom and gloom. The crowd's behind him. He's not like unfunctional as a wrestler. Just please do not have him. If I see Kyle O'Reilly or Roderick Strong come out there to challenge him, I'm gonna crumble. Just give him some fresh heels and let the crowd like him. And it's all about the boom. It's all about 5 big booms. It's all about the boom. Boom.
You don't want a lanky string bean white wrestler with stringy hair, with slightly undersized trunks, challenging him to a classic wrestling match?
I simply do not.
Shit.
Have Powerhouse Hobbs just beat him on Wednesday. That's what I'd do. Cole's like, oh, here's the first defense. It's like, oh, he's going to make Hobbs look good. And Hobbs just grabs him by the ankle. He goes, poof, 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 and whacks him on stuff. wins by like using him as a weapon to beat up another guy with.
I'll take it.
Maybe that'd be a DQ. I don't know the rules on that. That's Cole and Garcia. The co-main event tonight was the international title on the line. It was Kenny Omega versus Speedball Mike Bailey and Ricochet in triple threat action. I would say this match started out as a very typical triple threat. The heel bailed out, and it was a match between Kenny Omega and Mike Bailey. I thought Mike Bailey was really well received by this crowd. Philadelphia was into Mike Bailey, and I just thought this match had move-itis. Any two of these guys might have move-itis on its own.
What's move-itis?
But all three of these guys, just so many moves, Ryan. By the time you're 18 minutes into this match, you've just seen it all. Everything has been out there, and I felt like this. I would like to. Do you mind looking it up, Ryan? How long this match went? If they've got it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
My guess is this went north of 20 minutes.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, because there was a part of the match where I went, I've seen all these guys roll out of the way to so that the next move in the move-itis plague could happen, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna move, and then this guy's gonna do a move, and he's gonna roll out. And
these are three guys who are great at it. For the record,
there's no question that I had one of my observations was just like, Kenny's kind of wasted in a triple threat match.
Well, like this is what you got on Kenny for pay-per-view. It's not as satisfying as I don't feel like it delivers on the Kenny Omega pay-per-view experience.
Not at all. Okay, so I have the answer of how long this match was.
Yeah. I'll go 21:30 is my guess.
31 minutes. Now, I don't know if that includes entrances. We need to get Big Dave.
No, it doesn't. No, if you're on Wikipedia?
Yeah.
No, that's just bell to bell. Whoa. I felt those last 10 minutes. I'll be honest. I felt them.
Jeez, Bandito and Jericho went 18-15, and I felt every of that.
Okay, let's talk about Kenny Omega. We'll talk about each of these competitors individually. I thought Kenny was actually kind of the guy who was least impressive in this match, which is insane to consider. But he was mostly just used as the physical force, which is a cool use of him. But he was more Brock Lesnar than Kenny Omega in this match. He only really got going at the tail end. That's so dismissive. He was going the whole time and doing great stuff, but I felt like you only really got the glimpse of top gear Kenny Omega as you were building up to the finish, the double V triggers and that sort of zone.
Yeah.
Very impressive match, Ryan, but I don't know. The show had been so slow leading up to this match, and I was like, okay, let's pick up. And I didn't feel like this match had the emotion to wrench me into it, but not bad by any stretch. I was enjoying it quite a bit actually for the first half. How about you?
I love, Kenny Omega has been one of my favorite wrestlers to watch in the last 10 years or so. I'm not going to say anything about Kenny Omega does is formulaic, but if there was, you mentioned Brock Lesnar, and man, if there was a formulaic Kenny Omega type of match, he kind of brought it towards the end with the Snapdragon suplexes and the kind of handful of high spots with the dive outside. It wasn't, nothing about it was bad or unremarkable. It was just, you knew it was leading to somewhere else, and this match was just a step in the road, and I just didn't. I'm like, man, I want to see Kenny Omega in a singles match, or I want to see him in a tag match. Speedball beat the shit out of himself. He took his knees on the apron there, and that was a kind of, I like that. I like that.
Speedball's a low-key crazy bumper.
Is he?
Tonight, the V trigger, because he hits Ricochet first, and Ricochet goes boom, and then he hits Speedball. Speedball flies to the floor through the ropes on it. And earlier on the Kenny shoulder block, no, forget about this. The Snapdragon you pulled up, he goes completely side, arm behind him.
Oh yeah, those were
so
snug.
I was impressed by his bumping tonight.
Yeah. It was a fine match, but I don't know. There's one too many guys in this match.
One too many guys feels exactly right to me. And I would have preferred any of these two guys against each other, including Ricochet versus Speedball. But I thought it was a good performance by Speedball Bailey, who's received by the AEW crowd more than I like him. And, as long as you're doing that, Ricochet continues to impress and be, he's Ricochet. He's not going to stop being Ricochet. But the character work is so much better that when he enters that sort of, okay, go stand in the middle and hold your arm backwards so I can jump into your arm and start jumping around you, I can sort of at least be like, okay, all right, at least he's a little more hateable. So,
yeah, Speedball looks like a good greasy piece of shit. He's got I liked what I saw, but I don't know. There was a strangely laid out night tonight of wrestling.
Agreed. An avalanche one-winged angel onto Ricochet does put Ricochet away, protects Speedball Bailey, which was what I saw. I thought for sure Speedball would be the one getting pinned here. He's not. He's left hanging in a tree of woe. But both Speedball and Ricochet leave the ring, and they are met by the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. I have to think something was going to happen here, but the match went too long, or they're just running late. Like, Okada comes out, looks at Kenny. Kenny walks out, Okada walks out. Great to see you, Okada. Thanks.
Like, I made on my notes, I was like, oh, here comes Okada, here comes the Rainmaker. And then I look up and they're in the tape piece. I'm like,
there goes the Rainmaker. There he comes, there he goes. But of course, we are all just staying alive for Omega Okada 5 at All In. So
hell yeah.
Exciting times. Nothing wrong with this match. Just this card could have really used Kenny Omega versus your favorite wrestler right here.
The big event is in July at All In. Am I the only one that noticed that All In is Darby Allin's last name?
I think people have pointed this out before.
Okay,
I think even like Darby has put out like visuals for him at All In where it has like the.
Because I was looking at that today like an idiot. I'm like, All In.
Holy.
Hang on. Ma, come look.
Ryan, should we talk about a match I loved or a match I hated next?
Match I hated because that'll be quicker.
Chris Jericho versus Bandito for the Ring of Honor title. I thought it was cool because this match was following Kyle Fletcher, Mark Briscoe, which is a total barn burner.
Yep.
And Jericho, I think, did his best out the gate to keep that momentum going. He opens the match with the code breaker. They're like working, not stiff, but like aggressive, like going right at each other out the gate. And then they go right into this 60-second stalled suplex spot from Bandito where he gets the crowd counting, I don't know, like into the 20s with him. And then he gives a second support and they take over till 60. Kind of a fun spot, I thought, to open up the match. Huge powerbomb on the floor made me think that Bandito might be the strongest luchador we have. I would have thought, normally I think like Beast Mortos or Roosh, I guess, for that. But between the stalled suplex and that powerbomb on the floor, I was like, Bandito is a strong dude, man.
He's strong as just like, whatever cliche you want. But like when he does those suplexes, and he's done a few other moves where you kind of take a moment and be like shit, this guy's just like, think of the core strength on this bastard.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's core, or maybe under those tights he has like huge quads or something. Because here I am judging him. He's got an upper body I'd kill for, but he is. You don't look at him and think, oh, this guy's going to be able to hold a 60-second stalled suplex, but he's able to be an incredible base there. So really impressive. He shakes the ropes like the old Ultimate Warrior, which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
R.I.P.
He does the nope. I hope he's resting terribly.
Yeah, me too.
Bandito goes to do that. What do you call it? Like the draw spot where they go back to back and then walk. I hate that spot. So I like that Jericho was the first person who was just like, actually, fuck this. I'm just going to punch you in the back of the head because why on earth would I be doing this? And then we get the most annoying thing in the world. Bounty Keith is out. And to equal, and then Gravity comes out to equal against him. This draws the ref's attention. Then Chris Jericho uses that chance to hit a bat shot on Bandito. Then he makes a big deal of hiding the bat behind the stairs, and then goes over, takes his sweet ass time after this bat shot. Poor Bandito's down for 30 here. Forget about a 3 count. Bandito, they're like, welcome to AEW. Lay down. Goes down 1, 2. Oh, thank you, Scoob. Scoob rating us. Did you watch tonight's Scoop? Were you watching Dynasty? Maybe if he's just stopping by. I hope you had a great stream. You don't have to. Waza gangs, just a very influential man. He changed posting forever. Did
really?
Yeah, Zoobs always puts over what an influential poster he is. Thought lots of people bit his style online. We've got a couple more matches to talk about on the AEW Dynasty card. If you're just coming in, okay, they did watch a little bit. What did you think, Scoop? Did you enjoy it? Not enjoy it? I was pissed off at parts, but really liked others. We're talking about Jericho and Bandito here. So the bat shot keeps Bandito down. Jericho pins him, and now Ryan, there's a new invention: instant replay in wrestling.
Wait a minute, there's no instant replay in professional wrestling.
Well, it makes everybody else on the planet look like an idiot. If you've ever fought MJF and you weren't calling for the replay, what the hell were you thinking? Because FTR went not on edge. That ruled. We just talked about how sick that post-match angle was. Totally agree. And so here, you get Bandito's mom being like, no, Jericho cheated. Aubrey Edwards takes this into account. They go to the tape and see that indeed Chris Jericho has hid a bat behind the stairs, which Aubrey Edwards pulls out, and they restart the match. This was so stupid. And if you're a wrestling fan and a Raider, hit that follow button, please. We're live after every AEW Dynamite pay-per-views, and we run our own fed here every Monday night, 7 in the West, 10 in the East. Big night there tomorrow. Ryan, this pissed me off, this rule change. I did not. I thought this was so dumb restarting this match. And for what? You're just pinning both guys. What?
I didn't like if in the grand scheme of wrestling, it's like, oh, there's a bat that's under the stairs and he actually hit him with it. Like it was flabbergastingly dumb. It wasn't like you had another referee down there to try to like, oh, I actually saw this. It was just, oh, your mom hopped the barricade with your sister and they let you, we'll listen to you. We agree with everything you're saying. Just pointless. And yeah, the match wraps up a minute later and nobody likes a dusty finish and nobody liked this one.
But why, Ryan? Why? You got a great wrestling break. Maybe the chat. Can somebody? What was the thinking here for Tony Khan or Chris Jericho, whoever's booking this? Why? What? Just for like that moment of like, oh my God, they're gonna unmask Bandito.
I kind of thought that they would mask Bandito because I don't think he has the best mask.
I love his mask, but that's neither here nor there. I just don't. You pinned both guys.
It was just a dumb step, and it's truly overthought. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't know if Hollywood, Hulk Jericho is overthinking his spot on the card.
You can't compare him to Hollywood. You think Hogan would have got out there and taken a pin in the mid card? Yeah, that is. I gotta correct you, Ryan. Hollywood would have been like, oh yeah, we'll do that, brother. Be like, oh, the hip actually. Oh, we're gonna do that finish, but not the part where you win anymore, brother. I'm not feeling so good out there. Not feeling so good. Can't go flat.
Card subject to change. Also, if the sister slapped Jericho and the in sight of the referee, why wasn't it DQ'd?
I mean, if you start thinking about countouts and DQs in AEW, you're just gonna have a bad time. Mox and Swerve were on the outside of their match, climbing a ladder, battling around for like 5 minutes.
Their feet weren't on the floor, so it doesn't count towards.
Okay, yeah, maybe I missed that. Yeah, that might have been. Pacefall correctly pointing out the heat comes before the pop. Not easy to do a double turn. Batty Mac saying tying up the family stuff into an extremely Jericho story stunk. Yeah, and I can't get past it. I just don't get why. Why not just pin Jericho? Why does Bandito have to get pinned here?
It doesn't humanize either one of them by bringing in the family or having them do the dumbest possible finish to a wrestling match. It's got to be protecting the old bastard.
The only thing that I can think of is Jericho can brag and be like, well, I pinned him twice and he only pinned me once because he beat him on Collision a couple weeks back.
Wasn't this the third Jericho Bandito match?
Oh, was it 3? I thought it was only the second.
Well, they did that
wrong here.
I don't know if it was a pay-per-view or if it was Dynamite, but they had that like 5-star match or 4.75 star match or something.
It's late. But yeah, I thought this was a fine match before. Again, I just so past point of expiry with Jericho that he could put on something so great, and I would just have a really hard time connecting it or getting into it. But then you put this shit finish on top of it, this diarrhea cherry on top. I just hate it. I can't. It just seems like let's in Bandito on the way. Oh, did I even say they restart the match and then Bandito wins immediately? Just immediately pins Jericho. So
the sun was in his eyes the first time, and thankfully they closed the curtains. Jericho didn't have that advantage, and bam, 1, 2, 3 back to the hotel.
His mother's love, which is we'll charge
and Jericho's mother passed away a long time ago, so there you go. That's why no doubt about that. Yeah.
The real story here to be told is Jericho has no mother. Don't tell Christian Cage. All right. Match I loved here. Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe.
Yeah.
Holy hell, these guys have chemistry together, man. And forget about Julia Hart earlier. Mark Briscoe, these people were like, they would have killed to have Mark Briscoe win this match, which just tells you everything you know about what a great babyface Mark Briscoe is, and really what a good heel Kyle Fletcher is too, because Kyle Fletcher has lots of babyface things about him. People could easily want to cheer Kyle Fletcher just because he's so good and obviously a good prospect and big and jacked and can do a lot of the stuff. And instead, Mark Briscoe is such a great babyface that it just allows Kyle to get his boos. And Ryan, these guys were sprinting in this match. If this is going to be what the Owen Cup's all about, sign me the hell up, because these guys beat the hell out of each other. A cactus elbows, of course, always going to get me into the match, but I actually thought the froggy bow from the top to the floor from Mark was the craziest spot of the match, or at least the one I'll remember most. But really what stands out to me in this match, Ryan, is just how into Mark Briscoe this crowd was. Did you enjoy this match as much as me? If not for the heights of Tony Mariah, I think this would have been my match of the night. Tony Bane.
No, it was a great match. I hate to blow up my own spot here, but this is the first time I heard the nickname the Proto Star, which I went
really
from
bad, right? Really bad.
It's pretty bad because the most famous wrestler of the last 20 years, his original gimmick was the prototype, and there's some similarities there. These two bumped their asses off. There was the power bombs on the apron. The first one was disgusting. The second one looked a little more tame. I don't know how. I couldn't tell you how it worked or how gimmicked up this was, but the head first throw into the bottom turnbuckle by Kyle Fletcher just took me out of it for a second. Like, holy shit!
Yes, dude.
The Razor's Edge or whatever his move is off the top was pretty gnarly. But those froggy bombs, like, I knew he did it. I kind of forgot about it, and he did 2 or 3 of them in the match, and each one, like, what a great move. Like, it's nothing. I don't know. It's nothing too unique, but like, it looks outstanding every time you do it. Like, combining the two.
Yeah, he has his signature way of doing it, sort of coming in and then the elbow comes out. It reminds me a bit of Kairi Sane's, like, totally different in the way they do it, but a very memorable version of a overseen move. So I think that's really cool. This is like the definitive. Oh, sorry, right. Go ahead.
No, I also wanted to just chime in that turnbuckle brainbuster. I think that was the finish, or close to the finish.
No, I think that is the finish. Yeah,
that looked very, very snug.
I love when the big move actually is the finish. Like, it happens really rarely in wrestling. Somehow, like, a superplex never finishes.
Yeah,
they did it recently on TV too. Takeshita brainbustered a guy, I think, onto the turnbuckle for the pin. I could be misremembering this. We're late, but I love when that's it. Instead of having to go to their finisher after that. I know Kyle's finisher is the brainbuster, but like, the Avalanche version of it actually getting it done is, I feel like, rarer than it should be. I feel bad for these guys because this is just like the perfect example of a pay-per-view barn burner that no one will remember at the end of the year. Like, when you're talking about your favorite matches of the year, or that, this just won't stand out. But I really, really thought these guys had an obvious chemistry, and I would be happy to revisit this as many times as they wanted to run it. Really loved this match. Really, really, really loved it. physical, aggressive, babyface heel, hardcore or not hardcore, but stupendous in some high flying moves and really great stuff.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. Like, this was a jam-packed card, and not that there was anything that felt repetitive, but there were some matches that kind of felt a little similar, and this is the neighbors on the card were to this match's detriment a bit.
Well said. I totally agree there. Can I just say I love doing the long late night post pay-per-view shows. I love this vibe.
I think we weren't sure how it was going to start, but we're enjoying how it's finishing, and I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, this is your spot now, Ryan. You're the pay-per-view co-host. That was a big spot. These are big shows. All right. They opened up tonight. I thought you can never go wrong open up a show with Will Ospreay. He's so over. He has such a hot start friendly style. Like, he's going to inject life wherever he wrestles on the card, and no better usage of that maybe than the opener. I mean, obviously he belongs in the main event very often, but I thought he was well used here in a low stakes match against Kevin Knight, a tournament match, but not one that I thought anybody thought Kevin Knight was going to be taking home. Kevin Knight comes out again with this slogan, it's the one you look up to. There's something about this that doesn't work for me. He's not very tall, for one. And there's something about the 1-2, and it's a 3 count in wrestling. I don't like it. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. Anyway, Kevin Knight, Ryan, can you talk about how made this guy look tonight in a pay-per-view opener that he lost in the first round of a tournament? I really thought Kevin Knight came out smelling like roses after this one. Ospreay really went out of his way to make sure that at least the spotlight went on Kevin Knight enough for him to get to do his thing and really get over.
I think as we kind of spent a fair bit of the night just kind of dwelling on some less than desirable booking decisions and some less than desirable finishes, I think the common trend I have is of matches I really liked is how much like guys were made. People were made. Megan Bayne was made. Julia Hart was made. Yep. And I thought Kevin Knight was made. And
that is 3 people a night. That's pretty crazy when you point that out.
And I'm not gonna lie, I knew next to nothing about Kevin Knight. I don't know. I don't watch Collision. I have not seen this.
He's more of a New Japan guy, but yeah.
Yeah, so I loved what he brought. He looked cool as hell. There was a couple of moments. There was a couple sequences I just really dug. There was the tease to the Styles Clash out on the ramp, and it wound up taking the
He just crosses his arms to counter it. It's very savvy.
It made sense, and like I'd never seen that before. That's my theme of the night. Hey, there's some shit I haven't seen before that was cool and made sense, and they made the person. I just liked that chain of moves and just kind of steps. So I enjoyed the match. I thought Will Ospreay landed on his head a lot tonight.
He went like crazy for your man Kevin Knight.
Yeah, he put him over. He gave him everything, and it just like I said earlier off the top of the show, like it was the perfect kind of opening match where it was competitive, it was intense, it wasn't just this crazy spot fest, and I really liked kind of the story, the story they told and the match, the road they went down. So I like this Kevin Knight character, and it's I think he's going to be the next guy to kind of be spending a little more time in AEW. What about you?
Yeah, I think he's going to break out at a level that will be pretty impressive. For me, what I really like about Kevin Knight, Ryan, and what I thought really came across strong in his outing tonight was I feel like it's rare to have a high flyer who does what he does as well as he does, where his hang time reminds me of Amazing Red or Leo Rush or any of these guys who can just sort of conjure air, it seems like, out of nowhere and just suspend the opposite of Mick Foley, the man Gravity remembered. They're just like, some people fall faster. I don't care what your physics teacher said. Some fall faster, some fall slower. Kevin Knight's on the falls slower camp.
Yeah.
But then I think it's hard to find that wrestler who also lays in his lariats, lays in his shoulder blocks. Like he is strong style dojo trained. And I feel like those moves are what bring me into being able to get behind his more flashy cross bodies or very graceful, more Shawn Michaels inspired wrestling that normally, I mean, I like tons of it, but isn't naturally what I gravitate towards. Whereas I do feel like I naturally gravitate towards Kevin Knight because he really brings this more anchored, strong style approach, especially when he gets into the heat. So that stuff's never going to look better than against Will Ospreay, frankly, who can catch you from every angle and can bump around you. And it just, they both took advantage of so many things. That exact Styles Clash sequence you pointed out, I thought was so clever by both of them. Like I said, he crosses his arms so he can't get it, but then gets lifted up into a power bomb, which then Kevin Knight reverses into a DDT. It's like, man, you give Ryan and I a year to practice that, and you'd be sooner. Just put me in jail for 5. I'm never going to learn it. I'm going to die on the way. You know, I thought really, and then Kevin Knight, forget about like the top turnbuckle hang time. His just jumping when he's on the mat.
The vertical leap is outstanding. Just air. He was in the air longer than the average individual, and he just also crazy. All of the things that you just said you liked about Knight. You also describing Will Ospreay, like it was
especially modern Will Ospreay. I wouldn't have said it of Will Ospreay when he was where Kevin Knight was in his career, though.
Absolutely,
I feel like Kevin Knight's ahead of where Will Ospreay was in that way.
Yeah, there's the complete package is evolving so much, and the goalposts are always moving. But like the kid seems like it.
Does anybody in the chat know what Kevin Knight's like as a promo? I've seen like just some of the like him and Kushida like. We're going to be the best tag team in the world stuff, but nothing. I haven't seen like a dedicated Kevin Knight promo. Maybe someone in the chat has. We do get a hidden blade, never in question, and a 1-2-3 from Will Ospreay. A nice respect angle post match. And then Ryan, a visual that sums up my flaws, the things I dislike about AEW just too perfectly. Will Ospreay shakes Knight's hand. Hey, good job, kid. And then he turns and points to the all-in sign. Because, you know, that's what you do at WrestleMania season over in New York. And the stupid camera gets it wrong. And so it doesn't even look... It looks like he's pointing beside the sign. And in Will Ospreay pointing beside the all-in Texas sign, you have just the flaws of AEW. In one, you talk about a picture being worth 1,000 words. Don't be the company that points. Be the company that doesn't point.
And if you're gonna point, don't put it right next to a goddamn Dynasty sign. That's the name of the show that he's on. Hey, put it in a better spot if you're gonna point. But yes, do not point.
But either way, I thought that this was a great opener. Did everything for Kevin Knight, as you pointed out tonight, sort of a theme of the evening. I guess as we talked through the show, there was, especially finishing with this and Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher, there were lots of matches I liked. But the Young Bucks at the end pissed me off.
Yeah.
And the lead up to the co-main event, like I think Kenny Omega, Ricochet, and Speedball Bailey were done wrong for my interest in that 30-minute thing could have been something more approaching a classic for me if I wouldn't have disliked Jericho, Bandito, and Cole Garcia so much as the build up to it. Those were really just pulled the e-brakes on my interest. So I'm actually pretty comfortable with my 4 out of 7. How are you feeling about your score?
I'll keep it as 4 just because there was some legit letdown for this, and there was a fair bit of same old shit. I don't know, like, and I don't say this like I can't wait to tune in. It's like I don't know where they're going. I hope it doesn't stink, but I'm not. Again, if we're looking at Ghosts of Christmas Past, it's some combined super faction that just eats up airtime and is, you know, unbeatable. And we just went through that with a singular faction with Swerve and with Ed Choplin. And I don't know. I think
I'm just not happy to see the Bucks. I'm just not happy they're back. I did not miss them one iota. And now they're in the world title scene.
No, we're actually being bad on purpose. That's the whole point.
Right. Sorry. Right. I forgot I'm an idiot. I forgot I was supposed to not like it because they didn't actually forget how to wrestle. And I hate to do this, but it's so true. Those geeks in the Wrestling Brain Twitter mentions being like, you don't like the Bucks, or you must not like good wrestling. And then the Bucks themselves are like, Oh yeah, we were doing bad matches on purpose.
Oh,
you rock, dude. You liked the bad on purpose Bucks match. Yeah, you. Who's laughing now, pimp? You know? Well, I got a lot of that. I got a lot of, if you don't like the Bucks, you don't like pro wrestling. Yeah, well, they were being bad by their words.
I love how much TV time in 2024 for AEW went to being bad on purpose, meta, learning tree, young buck shit. Like, there was a reason they couldn't move tickets last year.
Well, hopefully they'll be reined in a little bit some way, somehow. Either way, you know that the Zoobs and I and Ryan will be talking about it every Wednesday the moment Dynamite ends. We will find out together. We will sail this ship together, even if the seas get stormy. These three, including the Sword and Shield, will always be there. Thank you all for joining us through this late night. Ryan, thank you for doing this, man. That was such a blast. I always enjoy these post pay-per-view shows, but I feel like we got a nice thing here.
I like it. I definitely like this kind of format and going late, going after dark. I got every other Monday off, so hopefully the next pay-per-view I ain't working and I'll crack a third lucky. But I, as a veteran of the podcasting and the streaming game, there's nothing better than going, I'm in a shit mood. This sucked. We'll go an hour 20 tops. And you look down and, it's 20 after 11. So we had fun. That's all that matters.
And we always do. Good show. Young Bucks and Jericho still dragging it down. Everybody, we will see you tomorrow for Meltdown. Wednesday for Double Dudes. Thursday for Shootopia. Friday, I might go live after the New Japan Chicago show because it looks insanely good. So follow the Blue Sky or talk to me in Discord. I think I'll say probably a 75% chance I'm live next Friday night.
Nice.
Whenever after New Japan Windy City Riot. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful night. Thanks for staying up late with us. Love and energy.